Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Basement Quality Banter, episode 32. How are you, Angus?
Good, thanks.
What are you sipping on?
Just pouring the last of my dangerous ales. This is the Crispy Boy Lager.
Oh, with the little frosty boy looking, yeah,
The frosty dude in the front.
can't go wrong with the crispy boy.
Yeah, pretty clear.
That
Feels
is
like,
that is clear as clear can be. I can even see your mug through
yeah, I can see yours.
it.
Great content. Great content.
Great for
What
the
do you got?
listeners, yeah.
What have
I'm
you got?
I'm having found them the considering what we were speaking about last week. Cooper's Dark Ale in the can, straight from the can, um, can fermented. I've always loved the beer. I'm glad it's still around. I hope the can gives it a bit more life because it's just got enough of that roast and still the pride of Ringwood hops as all the mainstream Cooper stuff has. So yeah, cheers.
Here's mine. Can't go wrong with Cooper's. Such a good choice if you see him in the bottle shop
Yeah, yeah.
or
Oh,
on tap for that matter.
that's lovely. Just 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 that right amount of roast and just smooth and not sweet and just yeah, very nice. Um, so let's get into it. So beer news. Burley Brewing have continued their Frothtoberfest releases with the Gutenpils, Hef, and Dunkel available now in a special pack. Grab some while you can. There's still a couple of those left. uh,
Dunkel, eh?
yeah, yeah, uh,
Sucker for a Dunkel.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Dunkel. Um, Advent calendars, I know I've mentioned recently. However, these have been really hitting up on the socials. I don't know if I want to fork out $200 for one. I like the random selections in some, and some have got a independent and new beer only focus. I just can't get the numbers to add up. What do you think of Advent calendars?
I've never actually bought one, to be honest.
Yeah,
Probably for the exact reason that you already mentioned. It
yeah,
seems it's always seemed a fair bit of money when you take a complete gamble. Um, I almost pulled the trigger on. Did Cohen Seller do
yeah. Cohen
one?
Cellars is probably the best known one, then Beer Cartel, and then maybe something like the Mountain Culture one. They're sort of the big ones.
I can't remember whose it was, but I almost pulled the trigger on it. And I'm like, nah, it's too much money for no idea
Mm,
of what you're getting. I think I think three of the cans were over fermenting in the can, and I think one of them wasn't wasn't a great over fermentation, like it was infected or something.
yeah,
So like I didn't buy that one. So
yeah.
yeah, I've never actually bought one.
The Beer Cartel one, famously, the Black Ops Imperial Eggnog Stout, uh, over fermented, and they told everyone not to consume it and not to open it. I think everyone did. That's when
Yeah.
Black Ops was still at sort of their peak hype, and we were talking about it. Was it just last week? How dangerous over fermented cans
Yeah.
can be. So yeah. Uh, and what did I have next? Oh, Joss from Hop On Brewery Tours and Hendo from Rockstar Brewer Academy are hosting a roundtable or a community hall to discuss the future of independent Queensland beer with producers, suppliers, and sellers all welcome to take part. There's a list of breweries statewide, or you can join via a registered link. If you want to take part and haven't already been invited, please reach out to Joss or Hendo to be a part of that. They're really looking to vote and shape something for Queensland independent breweries and help those suppliers and help those people doing it tough. And speaking of hop on brewery tours, you're heading off on one this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing the what's called the Hatchet and Hops tour. So my son plays rugby, and I've kind of had the honor thrust upon me of buying the end of year presents the last couple of years. So this year I thought I'd buy one of the this hatchet and hops tour. So I do axe throwing in the morning, and then three brewery tour and lunch at one of the places. And I think hopefully there's a a brewery tour at one of them. So I think so the axe throwing place is just in South Brisbane somewhere.
Yep.
So I figured I'd go to some Northside breweries because I haven't been to too many of them. So starting at Fink, which I have been to a lot of times, and I know that their food is absolutely brilliant and their beers are brilliant. So I think that'll be a good starting point. And then going to see Happy Valley Brewing,
Yep.
where my good mate Jake Harrison is brewing there.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, no idea if he'll be there on the weekend, but anyway, that's another place. And then um, I can't remember the third place we're going to.
Mm.
Happy
Someone else on
Valley
the top.
Archer Brewing. Archer Brewing.
Archer. Yep.
Yeah.
Archer. With the just be careful when you put your beer on the bar at Archer because it's actually a wing of a plane and they can slide off. It
Yeah,
looks
I've actually been to Archer, but
it looks great.
been there for
It's a
ages.
it's a
And I've never,
yeah. It's a really cool place. Um, I expect a detailed review next week. You know, so make sure you take a notepad and no,
that's it.
sounds like fun. Brisbane Brewing Co. are celebrating Volume 2 of the Indie Brewer Day starting today and going through till Sunday, again with all 26 taps pouring indie beers. Love this initiative, and the fact that they're doing it again pretty soon means it must have been successful and well received. So, well done to Brisbane Brewing Co.
Yeah, it's a
Alrighty. Yeah,
cool initiative. And unfortunate thing is that these are probably two of my worst weekends of November and December, so I don't think I'll be getting to it.
yeah, yeah. It'll be
But
cool
yeah,
to see the beers that they're putting on. Um, well, that's it. Everything starts to get a bit busy now. The Batuta
yeah.
Advocate, you had a story.
Yeah, so, sometimes their satirical articles are so on point and so truthful,
Yep,
but they're still funny.
I love it.
And actually took me about two sentences to realize this was a piss take article from Batuta. I didn't even read the website address or anything. So they've released an article stating that Dan Murphy's has announced removal of Crown Lager from the premium beer category, and it had a fairly extensive quote from the CEO Chris Stewart. I'll read it out. It's pretty funny. For a long time, we've been aware that Crown Lager is bought almost exclusively as a gift. It is not purchased for personal consumption. We think that customers are being misled by its presence in the premium beer section and are confused that it is actually a quality beer. Dan Murphy's customers seem to agree. Local man Mark Diersman admitted he is one of the many beer novices. As a devout rosé man myself, I had no idea Crown Lager was such an awful beer. I usually provide that moron my sister married with a carton of cronies to drink at Easter. I only buy it because it's expensive and I want them to know how well I'm doing. That and the fact he owns a jet ski. So there's one thing I know, cashed up bogans love jet skis, lasagna, and Crown Lager.
Great story. I love it.
That's
Actually,
really,
if you're going in the cashed up Bogan land, you probably want a case of Bintang and a singlet for that as well. Yeah, yeah. Crownies are still a solid drop. But yeah, that's hilarious. You don't often see too many people drinking the Crownies. That's quite funny. And you had the
yeah, gone.
Australian. Oh, sorry, keep going.
I was going to say, yeah, gone are the days where you'd go to a bar and there'd be a big Perspex container full of ice with the crownies on display, and
Yeah,
everyone can see that you're buying a crownie and you must be flush with cash.
a bucket of Crown, and then the sort of the opposite V tulip glass that sort of sits next to the Crown sort of triangle glass. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I that was like if your horses did well during the spring carnival, you got on the Crownies or something. Yeah, yeah. And I remember they tried. Do you remember Crown Gold when they tried to do a mid-strength Crownie?
Well, I never drank that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was a
I
success.
didn't really drink crownies anyway, but
Yeah,
even worse. Jeez, that takes talent.
yeah, yeah. Trying to get blood out of stone. You had the Australian Hoteliers Awards, the 2025 Awards for Excellence.
Yeah, it's a kind of interesting, interesting prizes in here. So the retail bottle shop award included Celebrations, Liquor Baron, Thirsty Camel, and interestingly, all of those are independent bottle shops, or at least not owned by the big hotels associations or the big boys. So I thought that was pretty interesting that that all the ones that won were all
Is
largely independent or independent of.
Celebrations ILG, Independent Liquor Group? Or,
Yeah, I think that was part of it. Yeah,
yeah,
which is not. That's what I'm kind. It's kind of a little bit fuzzy. Like
yeah,
they're not part of the like Coles, Coles Liquor or Woolworths.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess is the point I'm trying to make.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was it. Thought that was interesting. Craft Brewery Award. Beer Farm taking out Best Brewery in WA,
yep,
and there's some other notables there. Boundary Island, Froth Craft. They got quite a few awards actually. Froth Craft.
yeah, I don't know them.
Gage Roads, we've all heard of them. They won a bunch of awards. Indian Ocean, Fat Brew Club,
WA.
Thorny Devil, and Wedgetail Brewing.
Oh, the
So,
WA.
so yeah, it's a WA segment.
Yeah,
Um, WA's best steak sandwich was Carrington's Bar and Grill in Hamilton Hill. And yeah, like I mentioned, Gage Roads and Thorny Devil particularly kicked ass. They both won, well, are both featured in the Tourism Initiative Award, Outdoor Area Award, and the Craft Brewery Award. And Thorny Devil continued winning stuff with Casual Pub Dining, Restaurant Award, Regional, and Themed Venue.
yeah.
So I've never heard of Thorny Devil, but it must be a pretty good venue. I think they end up winning about, or being mentioned in six or seven categories
Oh,
across
good
the
on it.
awards. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds great.
Interesting, they won, was it Casual Pub Dining and also Restaurant Award?
They might have two
They
eating
must have,
areas. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a pretty
Uh,
hard thing to do in a pub.
yeah, yep, yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed some of the like great Aussie theme names in there. There was it Thorny Devil, Wedgetail, a couple other like classic Australian animal names. So
Yeah,
that's good. That's good to see.
and you had
Uh,
what was it? Proposed bills in Illawarra.
yeah, my next one. I'm starting to see some great initiatives put forward by various tourism regions, with political support, which I have to assume is based on the two proposed bills in Parliament at the moment. Yeah, Illawarra region had a big article with it was a tour bus that they were doing, that the breweries in the region had organised this tour bus, very similar to the Bermuda Triangle, which runs in Brisbane. So
Yep.
we got a bus which runs between 5 or 6 breweries every 45 minutes. You can jump in and jump off, and which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And saw a lot of articles related to South Australia. So tourism, South Australia had a big programming targeting Adelaide and surrounding areas, and that was supported by one of the local ministers. And there's a bunch of political announcements from various MPs around the country espousing their love and support for craft beer and local business and all that sort of thing. So,
It's all
um,
positive.
whether you believe the politicians or not, it's still drumming up interest. It's still providing some marketing. It's putting the industry in front of politicians and um, giving it a little bit of importance. So I see this all as a good thing.
Yeah. You had Rocky Ridge taking out the Beer and Brewer Awards for sustainability again.
Yeah, second year running. Yeah, they've not obviously they have a very strong focus on sustainability and local ingredients and food miles and all those sort of projects. Some of the internal projects they've got. So I think they've got one of the largest solar installations now in Western Australia.
Wow.
Didn't actually say how big it was, but yeah, they mentioned it was one of the biggest in Western Australia. They're running their own CO2 recovery plant, and they've just implemented a world-leading brewing water recycling plant.
Wow.
So yeah, the owners have a really strong focus on recycling, reusing, and reducing. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Some of the future projects.
Yep.
There's a real-time energy and water usage data collection, tree planting, biodiversity programs. So all cool stuff. And you wonder how they do it when a lot of breweries are struggling. Um,
I've seen they've got like a shipping container that's just full of batteries from their solar, and maybe that's why they took over the Thunder Road site in Brunswick, so the Rocky Ridge brand can get rid of some of that food mileage and have a brewery sort of closer to the east coast too.
yeah. And last point on that, yeah, they mentioned they're hoping for more government support for smaller businesses who are kind of pushing these sustainability programs. There's an Australian emissions scheme in place, but sounds fairly governmenty and complicated and probably aimed at larger businesses. So they're hoping the government can make some changes to target that towards smaller businesses.
Mm. Yeah, well, it's like B Corp. You've got to get through a lot of hurdles and do lots of applications to be approved for B Corp certification, and that's separate to carbon neutrality. And then you've got an Australian emission scheme. So there's lots of different plans and schemes and accreditations that you can do, and some are better than others. Some I know, I think there was a carbon neutral company where they were just offsetting your carbon usage in China, and you were ticking that box, and I just went, yeah, no, that just doesn't sit right with me.
Now it's yeah, it's what's the point of doing it
Yeah,
besides ticking that box and
yeah,
putting it on your website? Like it's not achieving anything for the world.
no,
It's just
no,
relocating usage.
yeah. And you had something for the Scott Eckford segment.
Yes, our weekly Scott Eggford segment. So, if you listen to this podcast, then you obviously enjoy basement level half-assed efforts at pooping out podcast rubbish. And so he recommended to me a podcast from Riley Knight called Half-Assed History. So definitely in anyone's lane who listens to this podcast. I've listened to the first few podcast episodes, and it's actually a very high level of half-assery. Uh, very amusing and well researched. Favorite episodes so far. I'll read these ones out. The Fenian raids. A bunch of pissed Irishmen living in the US very half-assedly invade Canada to force the English to relinquish control of Ireland. Makes complete sense, right? Another one was the British K-class submarines, and absolutely basement level effort by the British to produce submarines. I'm sure that I think that was just before World War One. So they lost six submarines, sunk six submarines, and many lives before they even saw active combat. Just absolute debacle. And probably one of the most interesting ones, a guy called Roy Sullivan, the human lightning rod. He was struck by lightning in seven separate occasions, survived them all without any permanent injuries, and he missed out on his eighth because his wife got struck instead. And I think he still holds the Guinness World Record for being struck the most times with lightning and
Good
surviving.
Lord. My uncle got hit by lightning on his Harley, but that's just crazy. Seven times, and he's would have been eight, except his missus was next to him.
And this is Compton. He was a park ranger in the US, so obviously
He's out a
exposed
lot.
to quite a lot of storms. So, but seven times and surviving is a pretty crazy number.
I might have to look that up. I've just been listening to the absolute train wreck that is the Daily Show from America, and the one thing they mentioned today from Trump was, and that's it. They're getting enough fodder because he's doing something stupid every day, but he's trying to pass banks allowed to give 50-year mortgages, um, so to reduce the cost of living by $300 a month now, not really mentioning that it was going to cost them for an average mortgage, instead of $400,000 interest, $800,000 interest,
Yeah,
meaning your 400 grand home is going to cost you 1.3. It didn't mention that bit. or the generational debt that may occur. So, you might inherit a mortgage off your parents when they pass away with a 50-year loan.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's just a train wreck, but it's hilarious listening to the Daily Show podcast. So, um,
Well, it's funny because it's in the US, right?
yeah,
Or maybe it's funny because it's not here. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
yeah, but you see it sort of creeping in sometimes, and you just go, yeah, yeah. Um, I had also on league, well done to New Zealand on winning the Pacific Championships. Withstood a fiery Samoa attack early on and came home strong in a brutal game. The Samoan crowd singing throughout the game was just mesmerizing, even when they knew they were going to lose. Um, I just wish I was there. That sounded amazing. The Gillaroos, however, smashed the Ferns in the women's final. Really good comp, but I think the Australian men need to be included in that comp. And in rugby union, the Wallabies went down to Italy. So what happens now?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. Doesn't doesn't really damage their rankings for the World Cup, which is so the World Cup draws are finalized later this year, and basically the first six teams are the top teams in the six pools. So if you're below the six, you're guaranteed to play one of the big boys during the pool games.
Mm,
So I think Australia, where are we ranked? I think we're seventh. So I think we're just outside the six now. So losing to Italy because they're below us didn't change our chances at all. We're still in seventh, but we've got um, Ireland and France coming up, who are both ranked above us. And much as I don't want to say it, most likely they're going to beat us,
yeah,
and I think that will really damage our chance, or that will stop us getting in the top six. So we've got to beat. I think we've got to beat one of them, and then not lose by much to the other team to sneak into the six, and that will give us a slightly easier run into the quarterfinals. But yeah, they didn't even fire a shot on the weekend.
uh,
Um, the team that beat South Africa at Ellis Park and um, beat the Argentinians, and uh, I mean it's the same players, but they're just not playing. Like it was very static. Every run off the forwards, they're getting the ball standing still and just getting belted backwards. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
do you think it had to do with the anthem singer butchering our anthem and forgetting the words? Like, you've got one job. You should know the words. If you're going to
Yeah.
get on a national stage and sing the national anthem of another country, you might want to know the words.
Yeah, look, I'd hope they'd be mentally resilient enough to work past a butchered anthem.
Yeah,
Um, who knows?
it's
Who
not fun.
knows?
And my very last one for the potty tonight, I had some breaking news that Valtteri Bottas is moving to McLaren Vale in South Australia, where he and Tiff have bought a lovely house with a small vineyard. He'll still be driving for Cadillac next year. It would have been
I'm really
cool.
interested to see how Cadillac will go.
Yeah, even
Um,
Audi, it'd be cool to see. Actually, next year, look, I don't know how it's going to go with Oscar and Lando at the end of this year. It looks like Lando might have had his run now to go through, but with the new regulations next year, it could be really interesting from day one on the Australian GP. So it'll be really cool to see. Alrighty, well that's all the basement level banter I've got. Did you have anything else?
no, that's all I had.
Lovely.
Nice.
Well, you enjoy your weekend activity, throwing axes at people. I mean, at the wall. And
Well, yeah.
for all our for all our listeners, thank you very much, and we will see you and hear you from us. Sorry, next week.
Thanks everyone. See ya.
Cheers. Bye.